My name is Ron, and I was the executive director for the John Clem Recovery House, which is where I really got into learning about ACE scores and trauma and those kinds of things in a more defined way. My ACE score it depends. My ACE score is either a 7 or an 8, depending on how I am thinking about the questions at that moment in time. I've done this a number of times, taken the ACE score, or answering the questions for the ACE score. And as I answered those questions, and then I started learning about what all of that means, that's when it all hit me. It's like, well, yeah, of course. You know, that's part of my problem that I couldn't identify. Part of that sense of loneliness and emptiness that I just couldn't put words to. This has been at the center of so many issues in my life, and it took me all these years to, even after working with psychologists and those kinds of things, to just get to a point where I could say, there's at least a partial answer. I really feel like the knowledge base just helped open things up for me and allowed me to just come to terms with the fact, or start to come to terms with the fact that, you know, these things were still playing out in my life. I didn't like it, but they were still playing out in my life, and I hadn't resolved a lot of the things that had gone on. And I needed to let go. And so it was easier for me to let go of some of it, to come to terms with who I am as a person now versus carrying all this baggage from, you know, the past, and kind of accept myself for who I am. And then working with these men who, you know, they come in, and the first thought, because of my various prejudices and biases and all that, is drug addict, drunk, whatever the case may be. And it was, and I never said those words. I never tried to be, to look down on them for what they had. How could I? I mean, I had had similar experiences. But when I understood trauma, what I was able to do was to look at them and begin to think about, what are some of the things that they're telling me? And how does this maybe suggest that they've experienced trauma? And I think for them, I offered a sense of, there are people who understand and don't judge them and don't treat them badly because they've become a drug addict or a substance use abuser for whatever reason. I was always so thankful to be able to recognize and to help steer them toward some kinds of support if they wanted it, or just be there for them. I almost gave in. I started drinking and had a real alcohol issue for a long time. But then I said, this is not who I want to be. This is not the life I want. But I didn't know how to do it. I was terrified because I had no models, nothing. And I just gritted my teeth and I did it. I said, I'm going to do this. And there were times I wanted to drop out, I wanted to quit, I wanted to run away, and I just said, I am going to get a bachelor's degree. And I'll decide what I'm going to do after that. And I did. And just knowing that I could take charge of my life and make something happen because I determined it was going to happen helped a great deal. I still carried a lot of the old baggage, but it helped me to be able to say, I'm going to get there. I'm not going to stop. I'm going to get there. Working with a psychiatrist or psychologist or counselor or whomever who truly understands the whole issue of trauma is extremely helpful. There are all kinds of trauma-informed cares. We can learn how to talk about ourselves differently. We can learn how to look at what happened to us differently. We can look at how we look at ourselves in terms of our behaviors and how we are self-defeatist in many ways because of what happened to us, and begin to change our frame of reference from this happened to me. It doesn't have to be who I am.